I work as a security guard at the Monarch Hotel in downtown Seattle. It is a beautiful, old building. 22 floors of Art Deco architecture built in 1929. Rich people stay there. Celebrities. Politicians. The kind of guests who expect perfection and silence. My job is simple. Watch the cameras. Walk the halls. Make sure nothing happens. For 3 years, nothing ever did. Then Marcus showed up. Marcus was a new hire, 20 years old, fresh out of community college. He was eager, curious, and he asked too many questions. The other guards warned him about the service elevator on the east side of the building. They told him never to use it after midnight. They told him the stories. He did not listen. The Monarch Hotel has a secret that management does not advertise. In 1947, a woman named Eleanor Vance checked into room 1408 on the 14th floor. She was a widow, recently bereaved, and she came to Seattle to start over. 3 days after checking in, she was found dead in the service elevator, frozen in place between floors 7 and 8. The coroner could not explain her death. There were no marks on her body, no signs of struggle or illness. Her face was locked in an expression of absolute terror, her eyes wide open, her mouth stretched into a silent scream. The official cause of death was listed as cardiac arrest, but everyone who saw her body knew that something else had happened. Something had scared Eleanor Vance to death. After her death, strange things began happening in the service elevator. Guests reported hearing a woman crying between floors. Maintenance workers refused to repair it alone. One bellhop in the 1960s claimed he saw Eleanor standing in the corner of the elevator, her face still frozen in that terrible scream. He quit the next day. The hotel tried to shut down the elevator, but every time they did, things got worse. Lights flickered throughout the building. Guests complained of nightmares. Room 1408 became impossible to rent, because everyone who stayed there reported seeing a woman standing at the foot of their bed at exactly 3 a.m. So the hotel kept the elevator running, and they made a rule. No one uses it after midnight. No exceptions. Marcus thought it was all superstition. Old building, old stories. Nothing more. On his third week, he decided to prove everyone wrong. I was watching the security monitors when I saw him enter the service elevator at 12:47 a.m. He was alone, smiling at the camera, giving a thumbs up like he was about to debunk a myth. I tried to radio him, but he had turned off his walkie-talkie. The elevator doors closed. On the monitor, I watched the floor indicator climb. 1, 2, 3. It stopped at 7. The doors did not open. I waited. 30 seconds. A minute. The elevator remained frozen between floors 7 and 8, exactly where Eleanor Vance had died. I called down to the front desk and told them to send someone to check the shaft. Then I kept watching the monitor, waiting for Marcus to appear. The camera inside the service elevator was old, grainy, black and white. But I could see Marcus clearly. He was standing in the center of the car, his back pressed against the wall, staring at something in the corner. The corner was empty. But Marcus did not think so. His mouth was moving, forming words I could not hear. His face had gone pale. He was shaking his head, backing away from whatever he saw, pressing himself harder against the wall like he was trying to phase through it. Then he screamed. I could not hear it through the monitor, but I saw it. His mouth stretched open, his eyes went wide, and he screamed with everything he had. He screamed until his face turned red, until the veins in his neck bulged, until he ran out of air, and then he stopped. Marcus stood perfectly still. His arms dropped to his sides, his head tilted slowly to the left, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. He stared directly into the camera, but his eyes were wrong. They were not Marcus's eyes anymore. They were empty, hollow, like someone had reached inside him and scooped out everything that made him human. He smiled. It was not a normal smile. It stretched too wide, curling up at the corners in a way that human faces should not bend. He lifted one hand and waved at the camera, a slow, deliberate wave, like a child saying goodbye. Then the elevator dropped. It plummeted from the 7th floor to the basement in less than 2 seconds. The impact was so loud that I heard it from the security office, a thunderous crash that shook the entire building. I ran. I sprinted down 14 flights of stairs to the basement. my heart pounding, my radio screaming with confused voices from other staff members. By the time I reached the elevator shaft, maintenance had already pried open the doors. Marcus was inside. He was alive. He was sitting in the corner of the destroyed elevator car, his legs crossed, his hands folded in his lap. The car was crumpled around him like a crushed soda can, but he did not have a scratch on him. He was still smiling that terrible, impossible smile. When the paramedics tried to move him, he spoke. His voice was different, higher, softer, with an accent that no one recognized. "You should not have come here," Marcus said. "This is my elevator. This is where I wait." They took him to the hospital. The doctors found nothing physically wrong with him, but Marcus never spoke again. Not as himself. Sometimes, late at night, the nurses report hearing him whisper in that strange voice, repeating the same words over and over. Between 7 and 8. Between 7 and 8. That is where I wait. I quit the Monarch Hotel the next week. I could not walk past that elevator without feeling her watching me. The hotel sealed it permanently after Marcus was hospitalized. They welded the doors shut and told guests it was under renovation. But sometimes, when I drive past the building late at night, I look up at the 7th floor. The windows are always dark, except for one. A faint light flickers behind the glass, moving up and down, like something trapped between floors, still waiting for its next passenger. If you ever stay at the Monarch Hotel, take the stairs. Some elevators are not meant to be ridden, and some floors are not meant to be reached. Everyone knows the urban legend about the babysitter and the phone calls coming from inside the house. It's one of the oldest horror stories, passed down through generations of teenagers trying to scare each other. I always thought it was fiction. Then I became a babysitter. My name is Jenna, and I was 17. It was the summer before my senior year, and I had taken a job watching the Patterson kids. The Pattersons lived in a massive house, an old Victorian place with too many rooms and not enough light. Mr. Patterson was a surgeon, Mrs. Patterson a lawyer. Their kids, Emma and Nolan, were 5 and 7. The kids were easy. They went to bed at 8, slept through the night, never gave me trouble. The house was the problem. For my first night, I felt like I was being watched. The hallways were too long, shadows too deep. I expected to see someone standing behind me. The Pattersons had an old rotary phone in the kitchen. Mrs. Patterson said it had been there since they moved in. On my 3rd week, the call started. The first one came at 9:15 p.m. The kids were asleep. The rotary phone in the kitchen began to ring, a shrill, mechanical sound. I answered it. Hello. Silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy, like someone is listening.
Hello? Is someone there?
A breath, slow and deliberate. Then a voice, low, raspy, barely above a whisper. Check the children. The line went dead. My heart was racing, but I told myself it was a prank. Kids from school knew I babysat. I walked upstairs and checked on Emma and Nolan. They were both sound asleep, exactly where I had left them. I went back downstairs and tried to forget about it. At 10:30 p.m., the phone rang again. Hello? The same silence. The same breath. Check the children. Who is this? I demanded. This is not funny. A pause. Then the voice spoke again, and this time there was something different about it. Something almost amused. I already checked them. They are still sleeping. For now. I dropped the phone. I ran upstairs so fast I nearly tripped on the landing. I threw open Emma's door. She was there, tucked into her bed, her chest rising and falling. I checked Nolan's room. He was there too, clutching a stuffed dinosaur, completely undisturbed. But something was wrong. Nolan's closet door was open. I was certain I had closed it. I always closed it because he was afraid of the dark space inside. I walked toward the closet, my hands shaking. The darkness inside seemed thicker than it should have been, deeper, like it went on forever, instead of ending at a wall of hanging clothes. I reached for the light switch. The phone rang downstairs. I left the closet and ran back to the kitchen. I grabbed the phone before the second ring. Leave me alone. The voice laughed. It was not a human laugh. It was too long, too hollow, like it was coming from the bottom of a well. "You should not have looked in the closet," it said. "Now he knows." I hung up and called the police. I told them someone was harassing me, that I was alone with 2 children. The dispatcher told me to stay calm, that they would trace the calls and send someone over. 5 minutes later, the phone rang again. I did not want to answer, but something compelled me. "Hello," the dispatcher's voice came through, but it was shaking. "Ma'am, we traced the calls. You need to get the children and leave the house immediately. Do you understand? Why? Where are the calls coming from?" A pause. When she spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. "The calls are coming from the upstairs extension. Someone is in the house with you." I do not remember dropping the phone. I do not remember running upstairs. I only remember grabbing Emma, screaming for Nolan, and carrying both children down the stairs as fast as my legs could move. Nolan's closet door was wide open as we passed it. Inside, I saw something, a shape, tall and thin, pressed against the back wall, watching us leave. It waved. The police found no one in the house. No fingerprints, no evidence of forced entry, nothing. The upstairs extension was in the master bedroom, and it had been disconnected for years. There was no way anyone could have made calls from it. The Pattersons moved out a month later. Mrs. Patterson told me that Nolan had started having nightmares about a man in his closet. A tall, thin man who whispered to him at night. "He says he is waiting," Nolan told his mother. "He says he is waiting for the babysitter to come back." I never babysat again. I never answered an unknown call again. And every night, before I go to sleep, I check every closet. Because some calls do come from inside the house, and whoever is making them is still waiting. If you drive Route 9 through the mountains of West Virginia late at night, you might see her. A young woman standing on the side of the road, wearing a white dress, her thumb raised for a ride. She looks cold, shivering in the darkness, desperate for someone to stop. Do not stop for her. My name is Tyler, and I made the mistake of stopping once. It was 3 years ago, but I remember every detail. Some things you cannot forget, no matter how hard you try. I was driving home from my brother's wedding in Virginia. It was a long drive, nearly 6 hours, and I had left later than I planned. By the time I hit Route 9, it was past midnight. The road was empty, winding through thick forest, with no street lights, no houses, no signs of civilization. That is when I saw her. She appeared in my headlights like a ghost, standing on the shoulder of the road, her white dress glowing against the darkness. She was young, maybe early 20s, with long dark hair and pale skin. Her thumb was raised, and she was staring directly at my car with an expression I could not read. I should have kept driving. Every instinct told me something was wrong, but she looked so cold, so helpless. I could not leave her out there alone. Primera pult, over. She walked to my passenger door and opened it. Up close, she was beautiful, but there was something off about her. Her skin was too pale, almost translucent. Her eyes were dark, so dark I could not see where the pupils ended and the iris began. And she was not shivering anymore. "Thank you for stopping," she said. Her voice was soft, melodic, like a song I had heard somewhere before. I had been waiting for so long. I asked her where she was going. She smiled and said she just needed to get to the other side. We drove in silence for a few minutes. I tried to make small talk, asked her name, asked what she was doing out so late. She gave short answers. Her name was Sarah. She was going home. She had been walking for a very long time. Then she asked me a question that made my blood run cold. "Do you believe in ghosts?" I laughed nervously and said I was not sure. She nodded, still smiling, and turned to look out the window. "I did not believe in them either," she said. "Not until I became one." I gripped the steering wheel tighter. I told myself she was joking, just a strange girl with a dark sense of humor. But when I glanced over at her, I saw something that made me slam on the brakes. Her reflection was not in the window. The glass showed the dark forest outside, the faint glow of my dashboard lights. But no, Sarah. The passenger seat appeared empty. I looked at her. She was still smiling, but now there was something sad in her eyes. "You see it now?" she said. "They always see it eventually." I could not speak. My throat had closed up. My heart was pounding so hard. She reached over and touched my hand. Her fingers were ice cold, colder than anything I had ever felt. Like touching frozen metal in the dead of winter. "I died on this road," she said. 43 years ago, a man picked me up, just like you did. But he was not kind. He did not want to help me. Her eyes changed. The sadness disappeared, replaced by something darker, something angry. Urt. Me. He left me on the side of the road to die, and now I wait here every night, looking for him, looking for his car. I told her I was not that man. I told her I just wanted to help. She studied my face for a long moment, her cold fingers still wrapped around my hand. "I know," she finally said. "That is why I am letting you go." She released my hand and opened the passenger door. The cold night air rushed in, carrying the smell of pine and damp earth. She stepped out of the car and stood on the shoulder of the road, exactly where I had found her. "Drive fast," she said. "Do not stop again, and do not look in your rearview mirror until you reach the bottom of the mountain." I did not need to be told. I floored the accelerator and drove faster than I had ever driven in my life. The road twisted and turned, but I did not slow down. I did not look back, but I heard something behind me. The sound of footsteps, impossibly fast, keeping pace with my car. The sound of something running on the road, something that should not have been able to move that fast. And then I heard a voice, whispering directly into my ear. Even though she was no longer in the car, "He's still out there. You know, the man who killed me. He still drives this road, and one night, I will find him." I reached the bottom of the mountain and pulled into the first gas station I saw. I sat in my car for an hour, shaking, trying to convince myself that what I had experienced was not real. When I finally looked in my rearview mirror, I saw something that I will never forget. A handprint on my back seat, small, delicate, and made of frost. I sold that car the next week. I have never driven Route 9 again, but sometimes, late at night, I hear her voice in my dreams, whispering the same words over and over. I am still waiting. If you ever see a hitchhiker on Route 9, keep driving. She is not looking for a ride. She is looking for someone who wronged her a long time ago. And if you stop, you might become part of her search forever.